first two, like swords, for example, to improve combat, things like that. But we should be getting underway right now, it looks like.
Yeah, here we go. We've got diversion already as Zelda is starting in Link's house while azder is taking the Sanctuary route.
Neither chest opens, so clearly those are not of importance to either runner here today.
It's like Zelga's making a beeline over the Eastern Palace area. With no bombs, that means that Sarasala's hut is likely a big blank in this seed. And there's something in Eastern.
Yeah, normally if you're coming over here, you're going to Hasra at the same time. So the fact that he's coming here without bombs is a hint that he's ignoring that. And exactly, he walked right by because he can't do anything in there anyway. So yeah, there's probably nothing in Sahasraral's hut at this point. Azder is going up to Blind's hideout. Now, I don't recall seeing anything in here. I'm going to see in case I accidentally forgot something here. So we're going to follow his chest opening right now, and he finds 20 rupees, some bombs.
Lots of bombs.
Some more bombs. And more money. And he left Kakariko. Interesting.
Maybe no access to early bombs in this seed other than that. Now Azder's heading to Link's house as well, so it looks like he's going to make his way down to the South Shore, where Zelda gets his first sword.
His first item is a sword.
It's always a good way to start a seed, right?
Yeah, it's not very often you get to see that, especially when it's hiding in a dungeon. And as you're taking a hit from the crab, you don't want to take hits from those things. 2 hearts of damage from those.
Yeah, crabs are the actual end boss of this game.
Well, end boss the light world, at least. That's why they guard the ice rod in the vanilla game, because the game wants you to have to earn that vanilla rod, so they put these really dangerous enemies around and to encourage you to come back later for the ice rod. But you can get the ice rod early in the game if you can avoid those crabs.
So it looks like Azder's really hunting for rupees as he stopped to grab the 20 drop and gets another 300 here. And another 300. That should be definitely enough money for the entire game.
We didn't point out that Zelgadissan picked up the hook shot in Eastern Palace as well, so he wanted that hook shot. He's prioritizing, it looks like, the climb up Death Mountain at this point.
Lucky bombed off for Zelga there as he's got making his way to Kakariko now.
He's also using that hook shot to get some grab distance. Knows he just grabbed the sign and pulled himself closer to the sign by doing that too.
Yeah, it's a good way to pick up some walk speed as you go through if you don't have the boots yet. As Azder with a fake flipper here is heading up to Hobo.
Yep, looks like Hobo is his target. So Hobo is clearly going to have something of interest here, as Zelgadissan is picking up his money in explosives. So now he's got the major item. Now he's going to go get some of the more minor things, like some money for some of the tasks he has to do, like getting into Palace of Darkness, for example. Which
it's interesting
which may not be
interesting that Azder skipped the chest and didn't even bother blowing up the wall. Zelga choosing to blow up the wall to get the 30 rupees, but also skips the chest.
And Azder, by the way, picked up the bow from the fake flipper. So the bow, obviously, a priority item. Azder is planning his Eastern Palace trip, I think, to also clear Eastern Palace because it is a 5/6 crystal. That could suggest Pyramid Fairy could be on the table as well, given it is one of those red crystals.
Yep, and even just getting it out of the way now means that you just don't have to come back here, especially with the pod being a pendant. You may not have to visit pod at all.
In which case, they may be doing this to get it all done, so they don't have to come back over here again. We may not even need to see Sahasrarala himself at all this seed, even with the green pen.
Gloves from the bottle vendor. Always good to get that early, although having to spend money on it's a bit rough.
Yeah, it's not nice that he forces you to pay for, lifting power to save the world and everything. Some people only care about the money.
Zelga also picked up the lamp. Is now heading to the back of Escape.
I missed the lamp grab. I think that was in the well.
Yeah. Which Azder did not go and get. Zelga getting the Moon Pearl and some powder, some nice safety item.
Moon Pearl, of course, is absolutely required. Powder, we'll see. But it's a nice safety, whether it's required or not otherwise.
Absolutely.
And as we're getting his big key for Eastern Palace, so yeah, he's working this to complete it right now. I don't think Zelgadissan actually got that key yet, did he?
No, Zelda just went in and got the hook shot and the sword to skip the big key.
Yeah, I thought I saw him skip that. I found that very interesting.
Zelda making his way up Death Mountain now, while azder is cleaning up Eastern Palace. About to get his hook shot.
And done. And obviously we're not going to see any of the hint tiles, but sometimes those hint tiles can have some useful information in them. Very often they just tell you to go to the next room.
Old man giving you his heart. We'll see how he handles without it.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll last very long without that. azder is playing in the dark. As you know, he did not take the lamp with him. And is having trouble, so he's hopping in the pot. Now he's probably starting to think he should have gotten that lamp.
Yeah, it was really accessible. He was there, but let's take another shot at this room. This is one of the harder rooms certainly the hardest room outside of Meyer and Aghanim's Tower to do in the dark.
Well, he got the room clear, so he is moving on.
Another heart container for Zelda and silver arrows.
Silver arrows are a nice find. There's the Titan glove, Titan mitt. As we're going to pierce some red statues with arrows, only way to kill those things. Get some extras for the boss, just so he's ready to go. 25 should be plenty.
Yeah, 25 should be plenty. 15 was not going to be.
No. It would have led to an awkward final red statue kill. Not the most clean fight, but he is getting 5 statues down, has to waste a few extra on the last one. 22 of his 25 arrows. Good thing you picked those up.
Yeah, that fight got a little away from him, but it's done. Got a bottle for his efforts and one of the 5-6 crystals. Meanwhile, Zelda is making his way through Super Bunny Cave.
Falls at the hole. And is going to... Looks like he's opening these chests. Nope, he's just picking up the skull, the magic pot. Zelgadissan coming upstairs. Now, we do know, by the way, and it's not noted on the left tracker yet, but the right tracker does show that Turtle Rock and Misery Mire are both Ether Medallions. So if we do need to go into those dungeons today, which Misery Mire we have to, Turtle Rock we may or may not have to, then we do know that Ether is the only medallion we need to.
Yeah, and Toot Toot, Zelgadissan grabs his flute.
And looks like azder is deciding, yeah, I think I better get the lamp.
Discretion is sometimes the better part of valor. Zelda also heading to Kakariko to unlock our foul friend. And pick up a few more bombs along the way. Very generous stun pack in this seed.
Oh, I didn't even check what the stun pack was. What was that?
It's 4 bombs.
Oh, that's very nice. Maybe that's why Zelgadissan wanted the hookshot really quickly, because he could get free bombs that way. Anyway, Zelgadissan is unlocking his transportation.
And while he's doing that, and azder's heading up to Death Mountain to collect items up there.
And Zelgadissan is flying. Well, will be flying at some point. So it looks like he's heading up to the Dark World right now. So we're going to find out whether he chooses to go to Thieves Town or Skull Woods. Looks like Thieves Town.
Yep.
And if there's nothing interesting in Thieves Town, he might just go into He has to go do it eventually for the crystal, but the question is, will he do it now? He looks like he's going past it. He's gone quite far past it, actually. He's going to the brewery right now. And the brewery contains a heart container, so that's one of his safeties.
Yep, always important if there's something that's not out of the way in these races. You want to grab the safeties you're comfortable with to get the job done, because dying is a huge time loss.
Exactly. So this is why you'll see runners sometimes stop to get a one of the two progressive mail upgrades, or both if they're both convenient.
Right.
Or things like the powder, because you can get fairies out of the powder. And Zelgadissan gets his dwarf frog and immediately goes to Death Mountain from there on the restart.
Yep, just to take the refill and the quick flute spot.
And quickly get the dwarf back to Rico via Swag Duck Air. And there's Azder's Titan Mitt and Silvers. So let's see if the dwarf, why he's so interested in the dwarf today. He has to do that to get the purple chest unlocked, so it's either the dwarf or the purple chest most likely. Let's see which one it is today. It is the mirror for the dwarf.
And we know, speaking of safeties, Azder chose to pick up the Cane of Burna while it was up in Death Mountain, something that Zelda skipped.
That's right. The Brian, if you were looking for your cane, it was up on Death Mountain. Please check in at the Lost and Found.
Azder realizes that they've forgotten something. Bunnies are not allowed.
Oops.
Meanwhile, Zelda making another trip up Death Mountain with the mirror.
Go ahead.
Apparently, he's forgotten something on Eastern Death Mountain. I don't think this is quicker than getting up to Tower Hera, which is one of our crystals. I don't think this route is quicker than just going up the west side of the mountain. So maybe there's something in here that Zelda has forgotten.
It's possible they've forgotten something here, and even so, there are a lot of cases where you have to go as an extra trip up the mountain just because the way the items are laid out, you have no way to do everything in one go. So sometimes you just have to do everything in multiple goes. I saw a scene the other day where we had to go up Death Mountain logically 3 times before you could even fight Aghanim, which was required. So sometimes scenes will be laid out like that.
For sure. Oh, looks like we're heading to the floating island.
Ooh. I don't know if we got a visual of the item yet, but looks like there is something very, very interesting there. Skipping all the Hookshot Cave chests, just going straight to the floating island.
Well, he'd already been in Hookshot Cave.
Oh, he has? Okay, I didn't catch that.
And those are boots. The Pegasus boots on the Lonely Island up there.
And he pulls a wall waiting for the duck, so as he lands from his latest transportation, the speed run may now begin.
Meanwhile, Azder is making his way into Village of Outcasts. Likely to go get his mirror.
So just to clarify, that was the chain that, one of the interesting chains that we did see there. You had to go up to Death Mountain to Paradox to get those Titans bits, just to head back down to get the mirror, to head back up to get the boots. So that's one of those cases where you have no choice but to make 2 trips. You can't get the boots without making 2 trips.
Yep. And Azder, I don't know, maybe getting confused in his log a little bit, trying to go to the purple chest spot without grabbing this frog first.
Yeah, he's getting his mirror, and he's going to, shortly getting his mirror. And then he's going to move from there to most likely either get the boots, if they are indeed required, which the runners will know that. Zelgadissan getting his hammer at this point.
Yep, hammer on Graveyard Ledge, which also required all of this rigmarole.
Yep.
So Azder taking a nice casual walk because he does not have the flute.
You mean the boots?
Well, or the flute, because Zelda had the flute to bring the blacksmith back.
Yeah, I meant walk for not having the boots. Okay, yeah.
Zelda gets his Master Sword out of the Pegasus Rocks.
That's an interesting rock for the Master Sword to be in. Kind of reminds you of Camelot, doesn't it?
Kinda.
Or-
Zelda now is going to be powdering a magic bat.
Ah, we get to see the curse today. Zelgadissan places powder on the red circle. A bat appears and says, I curse you
With literacy.
by making you read. I should have been the opposite, but it works.
I curse you with literacy today.
I curse you with illiteracy.
The book is interesting because logically we do have desert access without it, so that means there must be something on one of the tablets.
Yeah, that is true. At this point, they can go a desert without the book, so there must be something they want the book for. There are only 3 possible locations you can read with that. 2 of them you have to get the item, the 3rd one you don't. That, of course, is the pedestal. So we will see. That means that the 2 tablets, one of them most likely, and Zelgadis is heading straight for it. That seems to be what he's after.
Meanwhile, Azder getting his hammer.
He has not picked up his boots yet. He might be trying to save the boots for another trip up the mountain, which means he'll be a little bit slower on the trips down here. But we'll see if that pays off in the end. There's the fire rod.
Fire rod go boom.
And straight to Agina from there. So what does the old man have with the old hermit?
Dark Master Reflect. We're not going to say as of yet. We'll be able to see it shortly, though, I believe.
We actually did see it already.
We did see it. And Cain of Samaria at Agana. A lot of out-of-the-way locations for items in this seed so far.
And sometimes that's how it's laid out. You just have to go where it tells you to go. So now Azure is making the trip up Death Mountain.
And Zelda is making a trip to Hyrule Castle.
Now this is either Aghanim or this is looking for something in the basement. Looks like it's something in the basement.
Yep.
I couldn't be Aghanim at this point because they have all their progression. The only way that would be Aghanim at this point is if there's something on the Lumberjack Ledge.
As you're picking up a heart container that Zelda decided to skip up on, where Zelda gets the flippers out of Hyrule Castle and makes a beeline out.
Now, the thing that I noticed by Zelda grabbing the flippers is that Swamp Palace is a pendant. It makes you wonder if there's a reason he wants to go to Swamp Palace. Because he can otherwise... if that's not neat, you could actually probably do the entire seed without it.
Yeah, because you can just fake flipper to ice, and that seems to be the only thing needed for flipper access on this seed. So we'll figure out what's going on.
Zelgadissan is routing in the blue mail here.
Yeah, it's not that far from Flute Spot 8 if you're playing this to fake flipper over to ice, and it is not, apparently.
And
so,
meanwhile, Azure speedrun is now able to begin.
Yes.
A comment note in chat by our tracker Regaro, it is correct that the ice rod is not required unless Trinex is holding something, or in case the pedestal is holding something. Those are the 2 cases where the ice rod would be required today. Otherwise, we may not see that ice rod today. We'll see what if the runners do decide they need to route that in. They'll know where that is, and if not, then we can reveal it later on if it's not relevant. So there's what Zelgadissan was swimming for.
Yeah, grabbing that 3rd sword and being able to chain this into Ho to get his bow.
So he didn't do the fate. Hold on. And Swag Duck Air is now open for business for azder. Call to book your flights. Please note that calls do not work in Quebec, only in the rest of Canada and anywhere else in the world. Quebec seems to be void from everything. I don't understand.
Yeah, so Zelga, it was noted by Regaro that Zelga is now 1 ether medallion away from being able to clear every dungeon he needs to.
You made a note that Zelgadissan did the routing with the bow from the sword as well. Azder, of course, fake flippered to get the bow so he could clear Eastern Palace right away, which he did.
Right.
So that was how he chose to route it. As Zelgadissan gets his ether, we now know that's at the library. So that's where our only coin is. Zelgadissan chose to wait to route the bow in later, which was very different from how Azder did it. So we're going to eventually get to see which routing ends up being the faster routing here.
Yeah, and Zelda is now in go mode unless there is some trick or trap along the way.
As you see, a lot of items were in the overworld today. I think the only difference was maybe the couple that were in Eastern Palace so far. So at the moment, he seems to have everything he needs, unless there's something going on where Turtle Rock is needed. But since he's in go mode, I think it's safe to say the pendants are probably not going to be relevant at this point. Because he has everything he needs.
Oh, Azder taking a death.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, Zelda did hop into Eastern to get the 2 items there at the start, and now it's just going to be a dungeon rush.
Yeah, he's just going to run through everything here as quickly as he can now. That's all he needs to do. So yeah, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Go mode sub 22, only in Spoiler Log. Or if everything's in Kakariko, but we won't talk about that.
The other interesting thing is that 2 of the slower and harder to route dungeons are pendants and won't be needed in this seed. It looks like Pod and Turtle Rock. Only Meyer could have some interesting routing in it, so this should be an extremely fast seed.
Azure gets his fire rod. On my replay, it looked like on our commentary stream, it looked like an ice rod to me, but I know it is a fire rod. So he does have that. He is getting his additional upgrade from Agina. The wall gives way. Zelgadissan goes upstairs to the Sunshine Room to open up the blind fight. Azure getting his King of Samaria.
And Azure is a sword. No, he could do it on Master Sword. He is an ether away from being in go mode as well.
He could, yeah. Now, the one advantage he has is the one dungeon is already cleared, so if he gets his, I think he's going to be, what is he doing here?
Not sure.
I'm puzzled, but, okay, we did not see Palace of Darkness on Zelgadissan's side. Maybe there is something in there that he is determined he needs.
It is an interesting routing choice.
As he gets pickpocketed.
Yeah, Kiki Jiki the wallet breaker.
And now, everyone, as he pays off everyone's favorite contortionist, Kiki the monkey, he will gain access to Palace of Darkness. I am interested to see what is in here. As noted in chat, the other sword, the last sword, is a possibility. Or maybe he's going to decide he wanted the extra out of the way mail upgrade. I don't know. We're going to find out what's going on here in a moment. He quickly mirrors.
Looks like discretion is a better part of valor again there.
He must have realized he was in the wrong dungeon for something.
Perhaps.
Being just in chat, maybe he thought it was a crystal, and that might be what was going on there.
That is a possibility too. At least the music does give him a hint that it's not where he wants to be.
Yeah, he probably heard the music, like you said. It was like, this doesn't sound right.
Meanwhile, Zelgadissan gets his first crystal out of Thieves Town.
And I was so busy watching azder, I didn't even see what the blind pun was, so we'll have to come back to that in a minute and give our performance of that. We're going to do that shortly. Azder is still missing a couple of items that Zelgadissan has picked up here, so we're getting a.
Oh no!
Do you know
Zelda mirror bonked on the sprinter. Oh no!
This is gonna be interesting. This could be a lock. Oh no! Oh no! Please no! Please, Zelga, no! Oh no!
My goodness!
This is taking a long time. Azder's gonna get lots of time to catch up here. Zelda can get out of this. It's just a matter of trying to get out of the area. But at this point, I wonder. Yeah, he might decide it's quicker. Just go ahead, or did he save and quit? He got to save and quit in.
He got to save and quit, so he's not having to backtrack anything.
Thank goodness.
But wow.
Wow, that just gave Azder some extra time to catch up here.
That's going to make the highlight reel for sure.
Oh yeah, that's for sure on the highlight reel, without question. That's going to be in the clips channel by the end of the day. So as you're opening up his sunshine room, and he's going to go downstairs and find the fair evil monster.
Yeah, just a reminder, while our runners kind of clear some content out, if you do want to check out the Discord for the tournament, we do have a clip room where you can see some humorous and or exciting moments from our races.
While we're talking about Discord, make sure to follow these runners as well. They're obviously going through this rather, actually fairly interestingly laid out scene with everything in the overworld, and they're doing this for your entertainment as much as they are doing it for the tournament racing sport aspect of it. So make sure you follow them and give them your support as well. Their links are in the chat. I believe with the exception of... Actually, I believe their names are exactly as you see them on the stream. So there you go. If you're watching on YouTube, twitch.tv/ and then the name that you see on the stream to follow either of these runners.
Alright, time for our blind pun.
Unnecessary... Oh my gosh, what was that? Unnecessary elephants are irrelevant.
Yes.
That is a weird one. I'm going to assume that was one that Synak added, because I've never seen it.
I haven't seen that one either. A very clean blind fight from Azder.
It is worth knowing that we do have on the Spoiler Log Tournament some additional puns, some additional Ganon lines. My favorite is the one I wrote called for Bacon Facts. And some additional Zelda Triforce text as well. So those are unique to this tournament. Whether some of those will make it into the main randomizer later on, we don't know, but they are unique to this tournament for right now.
Zelda getting through the Mothula fight pretty cleanly. Not a perfect fight, but good enough.
I'm being told now that all of the texts have been replaced by ones that Synak has put in, so none of the regular ones are in there at all now.
We're not going to learn that Maya requires Ether, Bombos, or Quake.
No, that's old news.
Azder picking up his Ether. Azder is now in go mode, it looks like. Although he is a sword down still. Half magic for Azder on the Desert Ledge. That will make some fights a lot simpler.
Zelgadissan did not go for that, so either he's confident without that, or Azder's just taking the extra. Just
I don't think Zelda's been to the desert area yet.
That would make sense too. That makes sense too. Yeah, this is Zelga's Eastern Palace trip right now. So right now he's got 2 dungeons down. So does azder. They're both going to clear dungeons right now. The only thing is that azder still needs 1 or 2 items, I believe. Unless he decides he does not want the sword on the floating island, he might decide the flippers are too out of the way for that. So that might be something he is consciously deciding on as well. So azder may be going for the Master Sword Ganon at this point. Or the 4th sword, wherever that is.
Right. There's still another sword out there to be found, possibly. azder might be deciding that there was too much time lost earlier in the race to take the time out to get the tempered sword and just wants to get dungeons done and then make a decision later. That's a possibility as well.
And that's one of the advantages about this mode. Runners are allowed to watch the stream. We're trying to be careful not to reveal too much information ahead of time so that we don't accidentally tell them what to do and possibly change any routing on the fly for them. So we're trying to be careful not to reveal too much information, but they may, so we can say hypothetically they may be looking for that 4th sword upgrade. We've seen where it is, we're not going to reveal, obviously. Or he may be going to the island, which Zelgadissan already did, and we're not revealing too much by doing that, because azder will have seen that Zelgadissan did that, if he's watching.
Very clean land
That
was
was
from azder.
Absolutely clean, yes.
Whereas Zelga getting into the Armormost fight here in just a moment. azder was not as clean on this fight, and Zelga also has the advantage of silver arrows.
So azder utilizes the portal. It's probably going to do Misery... Yeah, he could do Misery Mire right now if he wants to. He is. Yep. We might get to see a bird toss, ladies and gentlemen.
Zelga with a good but not great Armormost fight. I think both our runners are going to spend some time at the archery game after this run.
Let's see if azder gives us a bird toss or a bird crush. No, the bird didn't freeze. Bird wasn't there. Never mind. No bird toss.
He came in from the north. The bird doesn't show up for you.
Zelgadissan, meanwhile, is coming from the south. Let's see if he decides to go do desert first. Nope, he might give us the bird toss. Now that I'm talking about the bird toss, he might do that. Nice timing, so the bird will freeze. Go ahead.
I think Zelga also set up the spooky action glitch, whereas azder coming in from the north does not have that available to him.
And what are we going to have here from Zelga? Zelga...
Oh, the memes.
The bird toss! Yay! I think chat will now decide who the winner is.
Really good Mire 2s from both these runners.
Yeah, very clean first room by Zelgadissan as well. I still play that room really slow.
Looks like we're going to get some cutscene theater in Mire, as the big key location has, I would assume, the big key.
So we can only assume that something is happening here because azder's screen is shaking and everything is blurry. What reminds me of Bad Night Out. Shaking has stopped. We see a hole. And the big key was found by inserting yourself into that hole.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah, probably best not to.
azder making his way to the dark rooms in Mire. Did pick up the lamp earlier, though, after his adventures in Eastern Palace.
And now azder is doing the dark rooms of Mire, so we don't have any... We do have the lamps today, so we don't have any strange dark shenanigans going on here, but I think we know in chat that azder does not do spooky action glitch, so he He has proceeded without that.
Yeah, he's doing it the intended way.
Realized he wasted a magic shot on the extra cane block, I think. Maybe that might have been what he was slashing the sword about for a moment there.
Possibly. He had Fire Rod out and then realized he couldn't do Spooky.
No, I think it was said in chat that he doesn't do Spooky. I could be mistaken, though. Oh, someone else is saying he missed. Okay. So, time for the eyeball fight, and the best way to put it is silver arrows just liquefy those eyes very, very quickly. So, there you go.
Nice clean zero cycle, which is always what you're hoping for when you have silver arrows in this fight.
Yeah, definitely ideal.
And right now we are tied at 4 crystals apiece.
Looks like Zelgadissan is in the chat as well, watching this while racing. So, shoutouts to Zelgadissan putting on a good race here with azder as well.
azder fake flippering over to Ice Palace. I would suspect with that azder's not going to go for the sword on Hilly Island.
Yeah, I was just about to comment on that. So it sounds like he might not be getting the flippers and doing that from that perspective. Now, he could have fake flippered over to the sword if he really wanted to, but it would have lost him a lot more time going back to... Actually, no, he couldn't have. He couldn't have mirrored from there. Never mind. Or he could have. Yeah, it would have taken him a lot more time to get back there is what my point is. It would have taken him another 30, 60 seconds to get back to Ice Palace again, so he may not be going for that.
Yeah, with half magic, having the sword disadvantage shouldn't be a huge deal against Cold Stare.
Yeah, I should be able to use the hammer as well if he really needs to and everything except Ganon. So hammer can be used for certain fights as well to get the tempered sword damage on things. And that's where you place that bomb. I need to practice that bomb there.
Yeah, that was the first room I learned, like, oh, this looks really cool when you do it right.
Yeah, I was trying to do a seed the other night on stream, and I realized I wasn't doing it right, so I just gave up and killed him normally. Zelgadissan moving another wall. For some reason, moving walls is a very key mechanic in this game.
Zelda onto Landmo fight, using Fire Rod instead of arrow shots.
Why not? He gets the magic back.
Yep. And Zelda also did pick up the half magic on Desert Ledge. Meanwhile, azder heading into Cold Stare.
So azder is pulling the statue and pushing it aside, and we're going to have a Cold Stare fight. Meanwhile, Zelgadissan does now take a crystal lead, but azder's going to tie it back up very, very shortly. He still has Tower of Hera, which is going to be last, I believe. And
I would suspect so,
Skull Woods to go. Yeah. And Zelgadissan has to do this longer Ice Palace. Ice Palace does take longer than Skull Woods. And then, again, Tower of Hera will be last. This could be a close race, ladies and gentlemen. It might come down to Ganon's Tower, and the sword advantage for Zelgadissan in Ganon's Tower may prove instrumental in getting that done quicker. Though maybe that azder could be planning to use magic in the gauntlet to kill enemies quickly as well. Those Zizaks, I believe, will still burn to one fire rod shot.
They will. It does take a little longer for them to die, but
Yes.
it's probably quicker than worrying about walking on treadmills trying to kill them.
Oh, I'm fairly sure. I'm fairly sure it is. It's quicker to do that than it is to get the sword at this point, I would say, for him.
As they're off to Skull Woods, as Zelga is about halfway through ice now.
Might be a little less, but yeah, getting close. So as we're walking through the connecting segment of a Skull Woods, yes, go through here to get to the to get to Mothia's lair. The thing that I'm thinking about right now, guys, this is looking really close. The thing I'm worrying about is whether that death that Azder took is going to have any any play here in a close race to lend things to Zelga's favor. I'm going to be very interested to see if that death does have any way of costing him the race.
Yeah, I would say that death probably cost Azder 15, maybe 20 seconds. So we'll see if that's the total at the end.
Yeah, if that's the deciding difference, then that could be the difference. Zelgadissan enters the chamber where the drop down to Coldster is. Azder enters the chamber of his own drop down. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a close race here today. We're about to have almost sync boss fights here. Azder, I would argue, has the quicker boss fight right now, so he'll be slightly ahead when he comes out of this moth fight, I believe. Getting the fire rod shots in. Zelgadissan taking out the ice around Coldster. Azder had a slight freeze there, but he's still there. And
very clean Coldster.
Very clean Coldster. So Zelgadissan does take a slight lead now. Azder is having trouble with the moth fight. It will do that with the spikes there. They will sometimes negate damage. He finally gets the kill. Took a little while longer than I'm sure he would have liked. But Zelgadissan's crystal flies into the air. He now has 6 crystals. Azder is holding crystal number 6 right now. Zelgadissan will get the edge heading up to Tower of Hera. And Azder's 6 crystal disappears into the air. Zelgadissan waits for Swag Duck Air to take him to the mountain. He gets up Death Mountain.
Yeah, we got a real tight race heading into Tower of Hera and gain this tower. Just a few seconds between the two runners.
It will come down to execution now, all the way, I believe. I have a feeling Azder may try to use the hammer in the Moldorm fight as well, because he has the Master Sword. It would take 3 spin slashes with the Master Sword compared to 2 with the Tempered, so I think Azder may be doing hammer strats on Moldorm.
Well, it takes 3 hammer shots as well, so he'll have it out, but may stick with spins.
Okay, I thought it was 2 on the hammer. My mistake then.
Zelga picking up the heart container in Super Bunny Cave that he missed out on a couple trips. Interesting that both these runners chose not to deal with Dead Rock RNG and take the quicker trip over at the Turtle Rock entrance.
No question. Yeah, the run killer is very often a stun Dead Rock.
Oh yeah. Very good King Dash there with the Can't Burn for Azder getting past those Lionels. If you have the Master Sword, you can't actually damage those Lionels with a dash, so trying to run through them doesn't work as well as you'd like it to.
That is correct. You have to have at least the Bacon Blade in order to damage those things. And as we're taking out the snake on the bottom floor, gets his big key. We're not going to see the cage. Yep, of course, nothing in there we need.
No coffee break for these runners. It's just go, go, go.
Lots of time to have a coffee afterwards.
Absolutely.
So azder is currently looks like 2 floors behind. Has a little bit of ground to catch up here. Zelgadissan is going to drop into his Moldorm fight. Now, will Moldorm have a say in this race? Let's see if we can find out here. We
Not
have
for
nope.
Zelga.
We have a kill on Zelga's side. It's going to take azder 1 extra hit, so that's going to be an immediate time loss.
Right.
As he now enters the fight himself, Zelgadissan is celebrating in the middle of the ring while azder is dancing around him with the Master Sword.
Very clean fight for azder.
Yep, very clean for Master Sword Moldorm. So that means that, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to Ganon's Tower. You only have about 5 seconds to get your guesses in. Actually, you know what? It's not relevant.
Yeah.
Never mind. I just realized the spoiler log, we can't do it that way. Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind.
But you can get your guesses in as to what location the big key is going to be in. We're going to find out very shortly, as the trip to Ganon's Tower is a mirror away.
Yeah, get your guesses in just what room it is. We'll accept late guesses for this because we didn't call for it in time because we were in Tower Hera. Of course, I'm going to say it's in Rando Room.
It does not look like it's going to be in Rando Room, as
Nope.
Zelda is doing the full right side.
Well, I always say Rando Room anyway, but it looks like it's probably going to be Compass Room at this point. And we're going to take Esther close because of the way he's going now. azder is following.
And there is the big key. And the small key, which Zelda needs as well to get up the tower. So here it is. From here on out, it is all execution.
Yeah, 100%. And Zelgadissan does have a combat advantage plus a lead going up. This is going to be crucial to trying to make it a 2-0 series. Keep in mind that if azder does manage to come up with the win in this series, like anything can happen. There could be a Moldorm fall that azder doesn't suffer and Zelda does. So anything can happen. And if it does happen, azder can still pull up this and make it 1-1, forcing a game 3. If that does happen, it will be following this race, immediately following this race. So we'll see what happens here.
The spike trap room giving Zelda a little bit of a headache.
Yeah, I took a few bops from it, but not too bad. Still has a few hearts left. Not using the safety room, just going to go.
Here we go, the gauntlet. This is where races are won and lost all the time.
Yep, these are some of the hardest rooms in the game, unless you're carrying a mail upgrade and about 12.5 hearts, then they're easy. And as Zelgadissan using fire rod strats on the Zizak, standing at the door waiting for it to burn. Like you said, it takes a little while for him to die with the fire rod.
Gets unlucky with that Stalfos movement there in room 5.
Still not too bad. Trying to get the fairy, though. He needs that fairy. He doesn't want to die here, and he's not... Decides he can't risk it at this point, gets the potion, and would have died with that next hit if he didn't. So that was a heads-up thinking to use that potion.
You know, azder is on room 5 now. And this is a very, very close race. Zelda's just finished off Flamola 2 as azder enters.
azder was cleaner through the gauntlet, didn't have to stop for any health refills, so that was time that Zelda did lose. azder can still pull this back, but I think with Master Sword Ganon looming for azder, it might be too much to make up here.
Possibly. One mistake, though, that could turn the whole race on its head.
Definitely, especially up here in the top of Ganon's Tower. You have to go back down to floor 2 if you take a death up here.
I don't see, at this point, I don't see a place where anyone's going to die in Ganon's Tower. I think the actual Ganon fight on Green Mail is where things might turn around here. But with Powder think both runners are relatively safe to get through this.
That Zelda almost had it hap with the fire rod there. So we're already having calls for the final chest in the game to have the last sword. We're going to find out momentarily if azder does stop to find a sword here in Ganon's Tower or not.
It's not in the Helmasaur room. And it's not in the Pre-Moldorm room.
So will azder be opening the final chest for a sword, or will zelgadissan show us what it is right now? We're going to find out. Nope, zelgadissan does not open that chest. He doesn't need anything there. So if it was a better sword, I think it's safe to say he would have picked it up. But let's see if azder does stop for it himself. Zelgadissan, meanwhile, is going to go on to our triangle fight. Usually very clean with this fight, so we'll see how this one goes today.
azder had to take a 4th hit on Moldorm 2 there. His first spin ended up being a poke, so he had to make sure that he didn't...
Was that a triple?
That may have been a double. This, at least a double. Could have been a triple. We're either at 4 or 5 here. It was a triple.
It was a triple, yeah. 3, 2, 1. Just countdown. And Zelga is poking the door, saying, "Let me out! Let me out! Let me out!"
So we can let you know at this. We can let you know at this point that the last sword was at the flute spot where you dig up the flute, and the shovel was buried deep in Turtle Rock.
azder got the triple as well.
Doesn't pick up the double in the second cycle though.
Meanwhile,
it's should be an easy double.
Meanwhile, it's time for the Big Pig, and azder got a blue ball, so it didn't become a double because of the blue ball. So got it this time though. And what took you so long to get here? Did you forget to route in safeties? Try grabbing more health next time. Thanks, Ganon. Nice to know he cares. Zelgadissan finds the... Go ahead.
Yeah, Zelda setting up nicely for phase 2 here.
Perfect placement to get phase 2 done. And gets his hits in, and now just has to dodge the fire bats. And we're now on phase 3, and he has 2.5 hearts. A death here would be very, very costly. It would cost him the race at this point, I think.
Yeah, I think that if azder's clean and Zelga dies or falls, I think that would do it.
It would.
We are seeing Ganon not wanting to stand in one place, though.
Yeah, Ganon is very warpy today, it looks like. Stay still for that one, though. And did you find the arrows in Death Mountain? Well, of course we did. They cook you very well. No torch glitch.
It's actually better not to. You get the triple here. And
what a nice triple. I thought he was going to fall in, but that was a nice triple. So Zelga does get the kill on Ganon, and we are going to have our race winner, assuming he can cross a 1x3 bridge safely, which usually is not a problem. And sure enough, is not a problem. We're going to...
Get your GGs out, folks. We've got a winner.
And let's see what the Triforce says. Did you like that bow placement? Reminder, the bow was on hobos, so there's your question for the day. And today, his official winning time, if you don't count the spoiler study time, was 53 minutes and 55 seconds. Again, get your GGs in, chat.
It's a really impressive time for only having 15 minutes to review this seed. With everything being in the overworld, a lot of just dungeon rush. Indeed.
Looks like Zelga's on-screen timer was actually 10 minutes behind. Maybe he accidentally reset when he didn't notice it.
He said he stopped it then accidentally.
Oh, we should have probably hid that because that's confusing. But anyway, no worries. We'll leave it there. So we'll see if he wants to come in and chat about the seed here. May already be in here, actually. He's in the setup room right now, so... Actually, let's hold off till azder is finished, because he just finished the Ganon fight right now. We're going to have his time in a moment as well. So, azder's official SRL time, there it is. Without the study time, 55 minutes and 3 seconds. So that was a difference of about 68 seconds between those two runners today.
Yeah, another very, very close race. So we got both of our runners in the green room ready to join us.
Okay, we are joined now by both by both azder and our race winner, Zelgadissan. GG to both of you.
Hey, GG, thank you.
So let's start with the Triforce text message. Did you like that bow placement?
It wasn't bad, but I felt like it was also a bit of bait. Like I was highly considering trying to get it before going to Eastern, but I decided it was just going to be way too much time walking down there when I could do Eastern later with the boots and stuff. So I feel like it was bait, I think.
Yeah, it was a case of fake flippering, obviously, because I thought at first when I was first looking at the spoiler log, there's no way they're going to pick up the flippers today. And then someone, I think it was James actually pointed out, hey, there's a sword on the island. They might go get the flippers. So that was a very interesting routing option as well today.
Yeah, the only reason I felt like the flippers were a worthwhile time just so I could get the sword and then into the bow. Just like I felt like, you always hear those things like a good tempered Ganon versus Master shouldn't be that big a deal, like less than a minute. But then I was thinking, well, it's going to be less than a minute for me to get the flippers and I can route it in kind of smoothly. So yeah, I feel like that was a decent call.
Yeah, that was a very nice routing decision there. azder did get as you may have noticed, because I saw you were on the stream as well, you may have noticed he got the bow and went to Eastern Palace right away. So immediately we had the immediate divergence, and we got to see which route went out in the end. So it looks like you did have a slightly better routing decision there. I think azder took a death at one point as well that set him back a little bit as well.
Yeah, I died. I died walking to Bomble's tablet for Fire Rod. I got comboed by the Ropas, and I also mixed up Pod and Desert Palace as pendants in my notes, which I do often because when I see Dark Palace, sometimes I write DP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I ended up walking all the way to Pod, going inside, thinking. I spent a long time routing like how I was gonna clear the dungeon and get the blue mail in the basement and stuff. And then I go in and it's a pendant, and I'm just like, wait, okay. So that was probably around a minute, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree about a minute. That and the overworld death. If it weren't for those two things, you might have put out the win here, because that was, like I said, the immediate divergence from the start. It was very interesting to see how the routing merged, and it was very close. You were about 10 seconds apart, I think, going into Tower of Hare at that point.
That sucks.
Yeah, I know I lost at least a good minute as well on the running guy in Kakariko. Yeah,
that was incredible.
Yeah,
that was funny.
I thought I had probably an acceptable lead to where I can mirror and get the cape out of the chicken hut, and I walked over towards it and mirrored directly onto the guy, and I thought it was over, man. I could not get out. It was in an infinite.
Yeah, we were. You've probably heard us like, "No, Zelda, please, no." We were kind of chuckling at that ourselves. I think it's not the first time we've seen it. Probably won't be the last time we see it. Someone else will surely do that as well, and we'll probably laugh then too, obviously. But it's just kind of scary when something like that happens and you just get stuck in that situation you can't get out of. It's like when you jump out of Hobo the wrong way, trying to fake flipper by pointing down, and then you get stuck in a dead area, unable to move. Anyway, James, if you have any questions, you can go ahead too.
Sure. As were you always planning on skipping out on Tempered Sword?
Yes.
Yeah. And I know you're a pretty experienced low percent runner, so that's what we figured.
Yeah, I saw where the other two swords were, and I was just like, okay, Hylia Island, I'm not getting flippers, so I probably can't. So I can't really do that. Okay, what's the other one? Okay, dig spot. Okay, where's the shovel? Oh, it's in T-Rock. Okay, well, never mind.
Right. And you forgot Moon Pearl on the way up to Death Mountain the first time.
I always forget Moon Pearl. I don't know why. It's like one of those. It's the item that it's the early game item that you don't actually use for anything until it's time to be in Dark World.
Right.
So it's.
I think it was very very clean race from both of you. Just little mistakes on both sides made it incredibly interesting at the end.
Yeah, both these were close races. I feel like we both had a handful of derps in both races, but it seems like it's just kind of normal. Nothing ever seems to go perfect whenever we get together for a race. So who knows what the future is going to bring next time it happens, because obviously it's just destiny. We're just always going to meet up in every tournament ever from now on.
And I'm always going to lose. So that's so you're 6-1 on me in tournament.
That just sounds so weird. Like I know that I can compete, but I feel like in a vacuum, if you put us together and we did 100, you'd get at least 60. But I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just like, for me at least, for this, I would say my two most the two things that cost me the most time are not things that I feel good about writing off as like, oh, that kind of stuff happens. Like the death on the way to Bottomless Tablet was really stupid, and then me mixing up Pod with Desert was really stupid, and that takes a long time. Like that walk actually takes a long time. It takes a long time to wait for Kiki to open Pod. And yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty disappointed in myself, honestly.
Yeah, we thought that maybe you were going in and grabbing the mail there and just hopping out. I didn't realize that it was. We didn't realize at the start. Once you mirrored out, we knew you were just mistaking it. But we knew that the blue mail for you was in the basement, so we thought that was possibly what you were grabbing.
Yeah, no. If I was gonna get a mail, I would have just gone to Ice Rod Cave. That would have been way faster.
Yeah, and Zelga did get the blue mail.
Yeah, I was thinking about getting it at one point, but after a lot of my mistakes early game, I knew I couldn't afford to get a lot of the extra safeties. Like I skipped the brewery heart too. I knew that was there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was rough. Like once I got going, once I got all my items and stuff, I think I played pretty well, and route after that was fine. There's no issues, but it felt bad because all my mistakes were pretty much early game and they piled on, so I had very little hope from the start, and it was not a fun way to do the race.
Yeah, this was a seed where those early mistakes you couldn't really capitalize on routing dungeons or anything like that, because there just wasn't anything in dungeons other than the hookshot and sword in Eastern. Everything was on the overworld.
I do like the divergences that we've had in both games. Probably like double dipping Eastern is probably a good idea. I think of Eastern double dipping as undesirable, but that's mostly actually if you're going all the way to the big key chest, which we didn't have to do here. So I think that was a pretty good call from Zelga.
Yeah, that was an interesting routing decision. I saw right away that he went straight to Eastern Palace. The first thing he picked up was the sword, and the second thing he picked up was the hook shot. I found that very, very interesting. That's how that played out, and it led to immediate divergence and immediate analysis of which one will end up being quicker. And it turned out in the end that, obviously, barring the mistake that each of you both had there with azder doing the Palace of Darkness and Zell getting stuck in the guy in Kakariko, those are about a minute or so each. It probably would have been a similar result, just quicker result for both of you in that case. And it looks in that case that the quick trip to Eastern Palace did win the day today.
I honestly don't know if I would have gone to Eastern straight off the bat if the stun prize wasn't 4 bombs. But getting that hook shot so early, it was like I didn't have to worry about trying to deal with finding bombs or buying them or anything.
Oh, I forgot to look at the stun prize, actually. That would have actually changed my routing, I think. Dang.
I didn't look at it either. It's fine. James had to tell me what it was.
Oh man, that's like I was actually stressing really hard about where I was going to find my bombs, and I was thinking, okay, well, if I'm going to walk all the way over to South Shore to Fake Flipper to get the bow, then I'm going to want to get the rupees in Mini Moldorm Cave. I'm not really sure where else to get rupees. There aren't too many out there. I didn't need 600. That was way overkill. But like I couldn't think of where else to really get enough, and so I got bombs from Kakariko, and I forgot to get the lamp from the well, which I meant to do the first time. But it also sucked because I didn't have enough money to get the power glove from the bottle vendor the first trip to Kakariko, so it just felt like a mess from the get-go. And I was thinking, you know what? I should have just fake flippered to Hobo and just taken the bow and gone with no lamp and no money and nothing and worried about bombs afterwards, maybe. But like I like as soon as I did my early game, I felt unhappy with it.
Yeah, I think if you had known that the stun prize was 4 bombs, I think that would have changed things significantly for you at the start of the game.
Yeah, it's pretty free. Like I would just get a bunch of bombs from Eastern, and then it'd be good to do whatever. Also, I'm actually pretty surprised that I didn't end up dying in the dark room. I was like really kicking myself for forgetting the lamp there.
Yeah, we saw you hop out and grab fairies in Eastern on the first attempt to that last dark room with the Igors.
Yeah, so I was near the top left. Like I killed the Igor at the key with no issues. But then when I was near the top left, I couldn't find the pot, and the other Igor had cornered me. I was like, I took a heart of damage, and I was just like, oh no, he's got me. And I don't know how I found my way out to the door, but like, if he had killed me, I would have just, obviously said screw it and done Eastern way later. But yeah, that was scary.
Right, Zelga, azder, do you have any last thoughts about the seed? Anything else you want to let our viewers know?
The whole Death Mountain mirror boots hammer thing was really obnoxious. That's really the only stupid thing I thought about this seed.
The forced Death Mountain double dip because mitts, or the mirror was blocked behind the mitts, and the mitts were up on Death Mountain.
Right. The book at Bat too, I think, was difficult to route in. I think that had to be a double dip too, but I'm not entirely sure.
It doesn't beat the triple dip I saw in a regular rando, but that is still disgusting.
Yeah, okay, because you need the mirror from turning in Blacksmith to get the hammer to get either the hammer from Graveyard Ledge or use the mirror to go get to the bat. So you need mirror or hammer, and hammer required mirror. So yeah, you had to go to that area twice. It was stupid.
Yeah, there was a potential fake powder route, because Mushroom was in Village Outcasts, but I'm not sure if it would have been any better.
The powder was right by the pearl, so there's really no reason not to grab it.
Yeah.
The powder also wasn't the issue. The issue was literally getting past the peg.
Right.
But yeah, so good luck next round against PKR again. This is like springtime all over again.
I was just gonna ask that question actually, zelgadissan going on to the next round here. Most likely, with Pink Kitty Rose being up 1-0, I think the odds are high that we could be seeing Zelga versus Pink Kitty Rose again. But
I'm sorry, that race wasn't decided yet. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Aussie could still come up with 2 wins and still come up with a victory there. So I'm going to. Do you have a preference as to who you want to face in that round, Zelga?
Not particularly. Either one of them would be a tough opponent. Like I'm used to running against PKR. I'm used to losing to PKR, so I kind of expect that. Oh, actually, it looks like Chad is correcting us that it is definitively Pink Kitty Rose now. So, yeah. Then I'm looking forward to that. It'll be exactly like the spring tournament where moved on from one opponent to the exact next opponent again. So
for those of you watching on YouTube and didn't see that video yet, apologies if you get a spoiler out of this. But since we had to talk about it anyway, and we now know that PKR is advancing, I'm assuming it was 2-0. then that means you're going to have a very exciting matchup coming up here. Zelda versus PKR, that's 3 versus 6. And that is going to be coming up in the round of 8. So there's something to look forward to right there.
Speaking of round of 8, I'm in the round of 8 in the Super Metroid Randomizer League, which is, I think, happening on this channel. It was supposed to be after Game 3, but since Game 3 is not happening, I get a bit of a break. So,
yay for breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an event you're talking about coming up at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, if you're watching the VOD on YouTube, it's on a different playlist. Next on this playlist will be another race in this tournament of some form. Any last thoughts from either of you before we do start wrapping up here?
Just GG's again. Just maybe the nicest seed we've played, which is saying something, because it was still kind of rough in spots.
I really didn't like this one, honestly.
Yeah, there was some dumbness, that's for sure. But GG's, and looking forward to the next tournament where we will inevitably face off again.
I'm not. I'm sorry. Please stay away from me.
That's fair. That's fair.
So with that said, let's just cover the upcoming races. While they bicker about how they should stay away from each other, we'll cover the upcoming races in this tournament. Coming up next in this tournament is Salty Fry versus Pika Pals at 9 o'clock Eastern Time tonight. That's listed right now being on this same channel, Speed Gaming 4, it looks like. And tomorrow we have races, one race scheduled at 6 p.m. That's also a round of 16 matchup between... Actually, no, that's going to be removed now because that match is already decided. Ignore what I just said. That match is done. So we're going to get rid of that one now. So it's just the one race coming up on tomorrow, and then we have another one scheduled April 19th between Kyung and Wolfie. There may be others before then, so keep an eye on speedgaming.org/ALTTPR Spoiler, and you'll get information on the latest races on the schedule for this tournament. If you are watching on YouTube, that's where you can go for that information as well. In our live chat, you can type !schedule, and you'll be able to get it that way as well. Other events going on Speed Gaming today very quickly. As you already mentioned, the Super Metroid Randomizer League event going on. He'll be playing against Sloters 27 later on that at 6:30 on this same channel before that spoiler log race. Other events today include Zelda 1 Randomizer at 5 o'clock. There's another one at 10 o'clock that may or may not get a channel. We'll see later if that happens. And Super Metroid Prodigy tournament going on tonight. There's some more Link to the Past Randomizer in the form of the Randomizer League. They're in Crossworld's Key Sanity Week. So, those are nasty seeds. Look forward to those. And that's just a sample of what's going on tonight. New Super Mario Bros. Wii, there's actually a race in that at 9 o'clock on Speed Gaming 5. So go check that out as well. So for more information on that schedule, speedgaming.org/schedule will get you that information. Other than that, any last words from you, James FNX, before we do wrap up?
No, another exciting race came down to a little over a minute at the end. Just another great race in the round of 16. It's been a very competitive round. I think a lot more so than I was expecting going in. Seeing how some of the round of 32 was some laughers, myself included.
Yeah, and it was a very interesting round. Again, because I know you said something about yourself there. I'm not going to go that far, but. As the racers do drop out of the lower rounds, it means that all the races coming up are going to be a lot closer, a lot tighter, because we have the better routers at the end of the tournament. So these races are going to get really, really close, really, really insane, really, really fun to watch. Make sure you come back and keep watching these because these are going to get you some very entertaining races. There's one thing I forgot to mention on the schedule as well. Right now, the Ori and the Blind Forest Championship is going on Speed Gaming Prime channel right now. So definitely go ahead and check that out too if you wish to as well. Other than that, follow Speed Gaming 2 through 6 as well. And that's where you can get all the information on these tournament races and other races that I was just talking about. Make sure to follow our runners, azder and zelgadissan. If you are watching on YouTube, put a twitch.tv/ before that, and you'll be able to get to their channels to give them a follow. You can also follow our tracker, who is Regaro, and my co-commentator, James FNX. Pleasure commentating with you.
You as well. A lot of fun.
And I'm Cyclone GU if you want to find me as well. Other than that, I think we are good to wrap up. So I want to say thank you, chat. You're just as important as anyone else here. I want to thank you for watching. Make sure to tune in for the other races later. And may not all your seeds be pet seeds. Have a good afternoon.